Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Wherever you guys are, I hope you're having a really good day. Today is Sunday, which means it's build stream day. I know we missed last week, I was busy, but yeah, it's going to be a good week. Thank you so much to Trolling Cootie for the 2 months of Prime subscription. Thank you very much. And also to Casper as well. Thank you very much for that Prime sub. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate those more than I can tell you. Original Octo, thank you very much for the follow, as well as JSabs, Crash, Uzumukai, Taiwai as well. Thank you very much, guys, for all the follows. I really appreciate it. Looks like we're into a hype train. Storesness, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. 4-month streak. I think that might be one of the longest subs we have on this channel. 4 months. Wow. Thank you very much. Let's see who got first today. Anarchy got first today. He says, evening Jay, hope you had a good weekend and got some rest. Going to be a busy few weeks with all the QC to do on the JO1s. Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen my Insta recently, I took delivery of all of the JO1s from the group by late last week, and now my warehouse just the other side of this wall is full, and I mean full, of JO1s and parts and everything else. Mel is going to be in pretty much all week this week, giving me a hand to sort them out. I've also got a couple of friends coming by tomorrow to take a check out and have a look at things as well, so it's going to be really interesting. Nerdy, thank you so much for the follow as well, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's going to be a really busy few weeks because we've got a lot of boards to get through, QC and shipping and everything else, so it's going to be a long couple of weeks. And then as soon as we've done all that, all of the icky Aurora boards are going to come in, which means we start the whole process over again. Existentially Yours is here as well. Hey man, good to see you, long time no see. Glad to see you here on the stream. Jendel TV says, hey Jane Co, good to see you again. Thanks for being here, man. Nerdy sadly did not get first. You were very much not first today. Sorry, Nerdy. Unbranded Caps and Taiway here as well. Alfred says £20. Wowzers. Yeah, it's about that. Like I'm being bullish with the numbers here, but I'll talk about that when we get to the keyboard. I am being bullish though. Casper asking how I am. I'm doing well, man. Doing well. It's been a big week last week. Like, we took all the JO1s in, and as well as that, I picked up a new car, and we changed around some things at home and finished off some DIY at home that's been hanging over my head for a while. In fact, we did some of it today as well. Yeah, it's been a busy week. I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Matt says hey. Mooseroid says hey. Glad to see you here, guys. Casper says hype train. Yeah, almost finished level 1. Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate that. Chris Bezic says good evening. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Really looking forward to the JO1 shipping. Yeah, soon. Like there is a couple of issues. So it came to like late on Friday that the manufacturer didn't send the gaskets for the JO1s with the board, so shipping might be delayed a couple of days. We need to just assess how that looks on Monday. So the first thing I need to do is assess that situation, see if I need to buy more, see if they've still got them at the manufacturers, what are we going to do to get them here ASAP, all while we're doing QC on the board. So we're going to work through that on Monday, but look out for some announcements early next week. Taiwei says, first time watching your stream, getting some good vibes. Nice. Yeah, we're just really chill here. We just take it really chill. We build some nice keyboards. We have a good afternoon, and it's just nice and easy. So yeah, thanks, man. We also do workshop streams as well. So when we're not streaming from here in the office space, we do workshop streams where I'll actually use the laser cutter and 3D printers and make stuff as well. So something a little bit different. Dematax is here as well. He says, hey Jay, hey man, good to see you. Original Octo says, cannot wait for the icky Auroras. Yeah, they're on the way. So they shipped a couple of weeks ago. They take about 45 days to get to the UK, about 2 weeks for customs, and then about a week to get to me. So they should be here mid-September. That's the plan. Mid-September, I'm expecting them. Unbranded Caps asking what I'm printing. The printers are running 2 things at the minute. The first one is making stem tweezers. So these are basically tweezers to hold your stem when you're lubing them, and they're basically like just grab hold of the stem, and they're automatically putting pressure on when you let go of them. So by releasing the tweezers, they apply pressure, if that makes sense. So to release them, you have to apply pressure. Anyway, that's what we're making on the first printer, and on the second printer, we're making keycap openers. So key switch openers. So with every set of switches I sell, as long as I have some printed off, I give away people a free switch opener and a free stem holder so they can lube their switches nicely. We used to do free lube as well, but that ran out sadly, and I haven't managed to procure any more for a good price, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the printers run pretty much 24/7 here, pretty much 24/7. £20 keyboard. Yeah, I'm being really bullish with the numbers, but I'll show you guys when we get closer to it. Yeah. Marcus the Weeb, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Super hyped. All the stuff that comes with the Aurora is super impressive for the cost. Yeah, so the Auroras are really interesting. They're like, they're a really nice product, and I do have one of the prototypes as well. So for the money, they're really good, and like what you get as part of the kit is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid deal. Like I can't think of anything else that you'd need for that kind of price point. They're really good, solid buys. Marcos the Weeb says, never knew you streamed. I've been streaming for 5 years. This is how I got into the hobby. I was a streamer before I did anything else. So I used to stream on my original solo channel, J Keeps, where I used to do build streams for about 3 years. Then a few years ago I joined Top Clack and did Top Clack for the past 2 years. I'm still part of the Top Clack team, and Brian and I still stream every Friday, although we missed this Friday just gone. But we do stream most Fridays. Space Cables, thank you so much for the subscription, man. I appreciate that. I thoroughly appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've streamed for a long time, and this channel started up about 4 months ago, just to show what we do here at the workshop and in the warehouse and things like that as well. You came because you saw a vendor, you knew stream, so you tuned in. Dude, I was a streamer before I was a vendor, a long time before I was a vendor. A long time as a vendor. Yeah, I haven't seen Alex Otos build on any key, but they are, bang for buck, they are probably one of the best keyboards on the market, bang for buck wise. I think everything above that kind of price point, you're paying a premium for, you know, different materials and that kind of stuff. It's up there. So yeah, so I'll have to check back on the Alex Otos build because I like watching his build streams. But yeah, bang for buck, I think they're a great board, great board. They're up there with the Ramakara and a few other products out there as well. I just think, you know, it's a good product. There are loads of optional extras. They're a pain to pack, I'm sure, because there's so many different parts people can want to put into their orders. But yeah, it's going to be good fun. It's going to be good fun. Are you going to get more Anubis switches? Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is on that. They sold really well for me, and I think most of the other worldwide vendors. I'll have to have a chat with Upas and the Mechs on Deck guys and see if we can get some more made and on the store. I think it'll definitely happen. I just don't know when that'll be or what that timeline looks like. But yeah, it'll definitely happen. Okay, so today, guys, we are going to be building the Semo FE. Now, I have to tell you, this is a pretty hefty board. So it's made of a material that I've not seen in a keyboard before, and I've not tried in a keyboard before. This is the first time I'll have tried it, which is called ALBC3. That's A for Alpha, L for Lima, B for Bravo, C for Charlie, 3. ALBC3. And this is basically an aluminium bronze casted material that's then milled. Now, from speaking with the designer, this designed by Designhouse.com, Jim Sir, so speaking with him about the board, I know that a lot of manufacturers won't touch this material because it's so difficult to machine. And the boards that he has done with them, they've said they're never touching this material again. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but I'm really excited to show you the board because it was not cheap and it is very heavy, and it also comes packaged quite nicely, so I'm excited to show you that. What Heine PCBs will be in stock? So we'll have H87As, both North and South versions. We'll also have H60Cs and H60As as well. So I'll have 4 different types. So yeah, excited for that. The material for the FE costs more than the entire SE at retail. Yeah, so on the Semo FE, the ALBC edition, just the raw materials cost more than the actual full materials and production cost of the standard edition at retail, which is kind of nuts. Shipping must not have been cheap either. Well, I'll break down the cost. Like, $2,000 is what I paid for what I'm going to show you. Like, $2,010 is the specific number that I paid. I'll break down those costs and I'll show you exactly what each bit related to and how much it was. But yeah, it's interesting. Nerdy says, how do you like the Tesla so far? You messed with the autopilot yet? Yeah, a bit. So I got the Tesla on Friday. I've done about 100 miles in it. It's actually packed up just outside here. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think the car's amazing. I think the acceleration is nuts, and I think it has pretty much everything I need from an EV. The autopilot's kind of hit and miss. Like, it works great on the motorway or the highway. On small and narrow streets, it tends to be a bit hit and miss, and it usually says you need to take over because I don't know what's going on here. I think that might just be how British roads are, though, because they're quite windy and tiny streets, especially where I live, which is a village called Shelf, just near Halifax in the UK. And it's a very, very old village. It's been here for like 500 years, and some of the buildings are really old and the streets are really narrow. It doesn't like that at all. But on the motorway, the highway, it's great, like just fine. Like driving back from where I had to pick it up to home, I just put autopilot on and let it do its thing, and it was great. It was fine. It needed no input for me for nearly 50 miles. It was great. The fact that this board is heavier than the base kit that DD just built at 14 pounds is nuts. Yeah, like this is a really heavy board, guys. This is really stupidly heavy. Like this is too heavy, I think. I've only bought this because I wanted to try out the material, and I didn't want to have to make something myself out of the material, so that's why I bought it. It's kind of nuts. It's too much, in my opinion. It's the second heaviest board I've ever built. The first heaviest board was a brass elephant that I built on the Top Clack channel about 2 years ago, and that was, I think that was 20 kilograms, which is nuts. Like I couldn't lift the thing. It was like lifting a toddler that was playing dead off of the desk. It was stupidly heavy. This is still stupidly heavy, but it's not quite as heavy as that was. Are the Purple Potato switches a good tactile? I haven't tried them personally. I've only spoken to the designer and the manufacturer about them. I think they're going to be pretty solid switches. So yeah, I think they're going to be really interesting switches, and I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be a good option for many people who are looking for a tactile. Whether they'll be the best tactile on the market, hey, I don't know. I haven't tried them yet, but I think they'll be really solid. Golden Ratio, thanks very much for being here, man. Nice to see you. Need Alluvia to add on weight. Yeah, so Alluvia, the metal keycaps to add on weight. Maybe. We'll see. Being the driver while on autopilot, how is it? I imagine it would be super nerve-wracking initially. For the first 20 yards, it was nerve-wracking, and then I saw that it was doing it, and it was like, oh, okay, we'll relax a little bit. And the more you do it, the more you relax. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Oops. Oh, you redeemed Hydrate. You redeemed Hydrate. There you go. Don't say oops. You can redeem Hydrate, that's fine. You thought the F1 was heavy. The F1 8X? That's not particularly a heavy board. I've got a couple of them. It's not a particularly heavy board. No. Most boards I class as being heavy start around the Keycap number 2 weight, which is this board just here, which is probably around 3 kilograms, something like that. Glendale is here for the beard. Thanks, man. Thank you. Do they not use metric on the roadways in the UK? So the UK is really funny with units. For most measurements these days, we tend to use centimeters and meters and millimeters. That tends to be what we're doing. So if you're measuring a piece of wood, most people will do it in millimeters and centimeters and meters now. But there are still a lot of builders, contractors that have been doing it for a long time and working feet and inches, and we can kind of like pretty much equate between the two. You go to a hardware store here, people will be happy to help serve you in both. For fuel, we sell it in litres. For milk, we sell it in pints. For beer, we sell it in pints. For pretty much any other beverage, we sell it in millilitres. So we kind of do have a mixed bag here in the UK. For roads, it's very much miles and miles per hour. We don't use kilometers here at all. It's always miles and miles per hour. So there you go. Identity crisis. I think it's because the UK wants to adopt metric. Like pretty much everyone under the age of 30, maybe even under the age of 40, wants to adopt metric. But because the UK is a really old country in terms of its industrialization, you know, the industrial revolution started here in the UK to a greater or lesser extent. And I think that what happened is that many people have just had a set way of doing things. And you know that's where it's gone from. Like feet and inches originated here in the UK. It's difficult to say how it's going to change, but I'm pretty sure that pretty much everyone under the age of 40 wants to move over to metric for most things. So yeah, Marius, thank you so much for the sub, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Also, a UK point is different to a US point. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Also use meters and feet at times. Yeah, I use meters if I'm describing a short distance, like my desk is 2 meters away. But I would use miles and miles per hour. I would very, very rarely use feet. In fact, the only time I use feet and inches is for height. So my height, I'm 5'7" tall, or I'm 6'2" tall, or whatever it is. Alka, thank you so much for the sub, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Also, hello. Hey, man. Yeah. Yeah. We used a lot of Imperial things. There was a whole thing. This was back in my youth. There was a whole thing when I had a paper round. I used to go into the shop that I worked for. And I used to be able to buy sweets in quarts. And then all of a sudden they changed the law due to an EU ruling that they had to be sold in grams. And I used to get less sweets for my money when it changed over, and I really noticed that. That was when I noticed it. What were the import fees on this baby? I'll talk about the prices of the board in a minute. Right, okay, let's switch over to the other stream view, and I'm going to show you guys what we're working with today. So, first off, you guys are going to help me pick the switches for this build. You're not going to pick right now, but I'm going to show you what the options are, and in a few minutes time, we're going to do a poll, and you guys can pick the switches. You guys will have two choices. You'll have the choice of lavenders. These are lavender switches. These are completely stock, unlubed switches, straight from the manufacturer, or alternatively, you'll be able to pick line switches. These are basically recolored Gateron yellows. So yeah, those will be the two choices for the build tonight. Those will be the two choices. I'm not going to lube on stream, no. These are going to be completely stock switches because this is just a test build for the board. I'm actually going to do a finalized build later on because I'm going to change the plate material, but we'll talk about that in a second. So these are going to be the switches for the build today, just so we can get the board working and see how it feels and what the weight's like and what the material gives a rough impression of the sound. So those are going to be the two choices for the switches, and you guys will get to pick in a minute. Towards the end of the stream, after you guys have seen the board, you'll be able to pick from Keycaps. You'll be able to pick from EBPT Retro Cyrillic, GMK Royal Alpha, if the camera focuses, GMK 9s, or alternatively GMK Olivia. Now you'll be able to pick that at the end of the stream. Someone did mention Olivia. The closest I have is Olivia. Those are going to be the options at the end of the stream for you to pick once we've built the board, and we'll do the switches after we've shown you the board as well. So we two polls coming up, guys, and you guys get to pick. For stabilizers, we're going to be using trusty Duroc V2s stabilizers. That's what we're going to use today. And for a PCB, because this board doesn't come with a PCB, we're going to be using a high-need PCB, and this is the H87C. So this is a USB-C, top-mounted USB-C port. This is a brand new PCB. This actually came with my high-need TKL1 as a spare PCB, and we're going to use that for the build today. Why no CRP? I don't have any CRP to hand right now. If I did, maybe it would have been an option, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. Carbon fiber plate, you know me, man. Yes, the final build of this will have a carbon fiber plate. Iowa is asking, what am I 3D printing? So I'm 3D printing two things. I'm 3D printing some stem holders. These are basically stem tweezers, which allow you to hold stems when you're lubing them. And I'm also 3D printing switch openers. And the reason I'm 3D printing both of those is because I give them away to anyone who purchases switches from my store. So if you buy switches, you get a free switch opener and you get a free stem holder. Nice and simple. Any tape mod available? Not today, no. What I want to do for the tape mod is I want to get a board that I have two of and build it identically on stream. So I have two F1ATEXs that I've lined up for this test. I'm going to build them identically with the same switches live on stream. Once both boards are built, we'll check to make sure that they sound the same. They'll have the same plate material, the same PCB, the same switches, the same stabilizers, all lubed in exactly the same way. We'll check that they sound the same. Then we'll strip one of the F1ATEXs apart. We'll put tape on there, and we'll try and see if it makes a difference. We'll try 5 or 6 different types of tape. We'll see which ones we like the best, and then we'll compare the best two across the two boards. That's the plan. That stream is going to be a couple of weeks away, but we're going to try the tape mod and do it properly scientific. We'll have spreadsheets and everything, I promise. Okay, so that's what you've got in terms of PCB, stabilizers, switches, and keycaps today. Now for the board. This is the special bit, because I'm not sure how much of this I can show on stream. And I'm not kidding, guys, this is this heavy. This is how the board comes. This is how the board comes. Like this, like you can see it rocking the desk. This is how the board comes. It is stupidly heavy. You don't need to see that. This is what the board comes in. Comes in a nice big air carry case. It's got the Design House Com logo here. It says Design House Com at the top. I'm gonna have to turn it this way just to open it up, just to show you guys. This is really, really heavy. And we've got 3 things in here. There we go. In fact, we've got 4 things in here. The first thing we have is this, which is the fact that it's a number 13 of 20. It's the Founders Edition board, so it's a nice little aluminium plate that tells me what number it is. We have this, and then we have the keyboard. Now, I don't want to show you the keyboard just yet, because I'm going to take it out of here and I'll show you it on stream when we unpack it properly. Oh my god, like, where do I put this? Right, it's on my lap. Let's get rid of the case now. So that is how the board comes in the case. How much does it weigh with the case? It's about 35 pounds with the case and everything else. So it's pretty hefty. Careful with your back, mate. Yeah, like I that's why I picked it up sat down and not stood up. Yeah, I'm good. What is it made of? AlBC3. So this is an aluminium bronze casting. So it's basically a compound of aluminium and bronze together. Get 2 of them. We can work out with them. Need a bathroom scale to weight. Well, funnily you should say that. I do have some scales. I do have some scales to hand. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you first before we do anything else is that I do have 2 additional parts here. And these were parts that you could buy with the board, and these do add into the $2,000 price. So I was being bullish with the price, as I mentioned, but this is the first thing. This is a small tray designed for screws and other things, and this is the material it's made of. This is AlBC3. This is an aluminium bronze casting. You can see it's golden in color. It's got the logo on the bottom. This is super nice. Like, I use trays a lot. We have some aluminium ones that I make with a friend of mine called Tom, but this is the AlBC3 version. Now, just this alone is 381 grams. That's 381 grams, which is just shy of a pound. So this is 13.4 ounces, almost a pound, and it's just a tiny little tray. That just gives you some kind of idea, okay? So we have a little tray. As well as that, I also bought this, which comes in a nice little zipper pouch, which is a pen tray. So you can see here we've got these lovely mill lines on the inside. It shows you exactly how it was machined and how it was made, where the mill lines ran. It's basically the same as the smaller one, but it's much bigger. And this is designed to be like a pen rail as well. $2,000 was the retail price. The retail price. Plus shipping and taxes, yeah. So I'll talk through the prices in a minute. Once I've shown you all the parts, I'll talk through the prices. So this is kind of like a golden color. Like, if you look in the small face cam, you get a better impression of the color. It's pretty cool. Now this one weighs 1 pound and 12 ounces. 1 pound 11 ounces 0.7. 1 pound and 11.7 ounces, which in grams, for those of you guys in metric, is just the pen tray alone weighs 785 grams. Nearly 800 grams for just the pen rail alone. Just 800 grams. I mean, these two together, you have over a kilogram. So these two together are 1.165 kilograms. Sorry, 1.165 kilograms. So 1.16, 1.17 kilograms, which in pounds, the 2 trays together are 2 pounds, 9.1 ounces. 2 pounds, 9.1 ounces. Just for the 2 trays. Okay? Now, before I show you the board, let's put these up here. We'll use those today. For our bits and pieces. We'll make use of them today. Now, before I show you the board, I am going to weigh it for you. And this is properly heavy. So there we go. Scale's at 0. Let's put it into grams first. It's in grams. It's at 0. And let's see what it reads when we put this on top of it. It's too heavy for the scales. The scales can't read it, and it gives me an error message because it's too heavy for a set of kitchen scales. The kitchen scales can't weigh it. The kitchen scales can't weigh it. There's just nothing, just an error. It can't do anything. That's how heavy this is. That's why I can't give you an accurate weight. Like, I know it's about 20 pounds, maybe just under, but the scales won't tell me. The scales will not give me a number. That's how hefty this is. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, it's really heavy. Like, I'm straining to lift it. I can feel my sides pulling just to lift it. Just out of interest, let's see where the scales break, right? If I push down on the scales, let's put it into grams. If I push down on the scales, it's at 0 grams. If I push down, let's see where we error out. Okay, it's about 6,000 grams. So about 6 kilograms this errors out. Yeah, about 6,500 grams, 6 kilograms is where this errors out. And this is hefty. Yes, we will weigh the plants individually. We'll get there, don't worry. Don't worry. That's how heavy this is. That's how heavy it is. It's stupidly heavy. Okay, let's put the scales to one side. Quadrum, someone mentioned, I think it was Quadrum, that the scales won't work correctly on Decimat. I've done this before, but let's do it again, because this is a fun science bit. Let's see. Let's weigh something and see if we get a difference on the scales, on the Decimat, or on the desk. 380 grams. 380 grams, just for that. $381. It's like a negligible difference. The Decimat makes very, very little difference. It's like 0.3%, 0.03%. No, 0.3%. It's like less than 1%, right? It's like, yeah, it's such a tiny amount. Such a tiny amount. It's not going to make a difference for most build streams. Okay, so we've shown you the board. Well, we've shown you the bits and pieces. Yeah, but like for one Decimat on a desk, it's making such a little difference. It's less than 1%. It's not gonna make a milligram. 1 gram is like what weighs 1 gram? Like, what weighs 1 gram? What's the difference? Like, that's probably the difference between the weight of bump-ons, right? No, bump-ons don't quite weigh a gram. What weighs a gram? Do switch pullers weigh a gram? They weigh 7 grams. So it's like less than that difference. Like, and they're titanium, right? So it's a fraction of an amount. It doesn't make a difference. Like, it's not going to make a difference. Okay. I don't have any coins. I never carry coins. Let's see how many switches it takes to weigh 1 gram. I bet it's the weight of a switch. I bet it's the weight of a switch. Yeah, it's the weight of a switch. If you're telling me that that's making a significant difference, then we can go for that. This is a 4mm mat. This is a 4mm thick mat. And it's on a hardwood surface. Like, it's not going to make much of a difference. Like, it's really not. It's really not. Anyway, it's time to show you guys the board. Now, the first thing I want to say is it does come in this lovely soft felt lining cloth. Now, this isn't just a cloth wrapped around. This is actually a pouch, which you'll see in a minute. And it does have the logo on. It's kind of hard to see, but it does have the logo on here. It's nice, right? Oh, no, no, this is heavy. This is closer to 10 kilograms. Vegexy, thank you very much for the follow. Thank you, I appreciate that, man. And Gigi Harsha, thank you so much for the follow, man. Simply Sick too, thank you very much. Appreciate all the follows, man. Thank you very much. Okay. Side note, the desk is pretty. Thank you, man. Thank you. Would you guys like to see the keyboard now? Would you guys like to see what a full board made out of this looks like? And bear in mind that this board actually has 3 different versions of this material. It has a sandblasted version, a polished version, and a raw machined version, which is the same as this. You guys want to see it? I'm doing well, man. Thanks very much for joining, Beg. You guys want to see the board? Really? So, the top of this board is raw machined parts. You can see the machine lines here. It looks absolutely stunning. The pictures on Instagram don't do it justice. The sides you can see here are machined as well. You've got the sandblasted base with this cool intricate detail in here. And then we've got the polished weight on the bottom. This is so heavy. Like, there's the polished weight. guys. There you go. You can see me, see my camera reflection. This thing is absolutely nuts. These deep cavities here on the side are pretty cool though. Like, it's difficult to show you in there because it gets so dark in there. But there is like a design in there. It's super cool. So there we go. Now we do need some other parts out of here to be able to do the build. I just need to check that they're still in here because I think they are. And if they're not, it means I've left them in the workshop, which is the feet. I left them in the workshop. So we're not putting the feet on the board today. But we'll build the rest of it. So there we go. Drop test. Heavy. Heavy is the drop test result. It makes the whole desk shake. I'm not dropping it any more than that. Right, let's take this apart. And then once we've taken it apart, we can weigh each of the parts individually. Oh my gosh. Major meter bounce. Yeah, right. It's nuts heavy. Okay. I think this is the size we need. Nope. Slightly bigger. Here we go. Oh, still bigger. It's deceiving. It's deceiving me on what size tool it takes. Redeeming hydrate. Thank you very much, man. The metal won't budge, but your desk might. I've stood on this desk before. It's not going anywhere. Dang Dynasty, thank you so much for the follow, man. Oh, this subscription, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Hey, man, thank you so much for it. Looks like a toe killer. It could be. 4 months of subs. Thank you so much, man. Like, the reason I've kept the scales out is because we're going to weigh each part individually so we can get a rough idea of how much this does weigh. Drop it from like a foot off the desk and that desk is dead. No, I've stood on this desk before. This desk won't go through. It's solid wood, but it might dent it. It might dent the wood. This thing is all sorts of ridiculous, right? Okay. Now, how does the rest of the board come apart? I assume I have to take off the weight here, which is probably a good thing. Blue Toggles, thank you so much for the 100 bits. He says, do you reckon that the waiting time for GMK relegitables will be shorter due to the different molds? PS, love the streams. It's an interesting question. We haven't had a definitive answer off GMK yet, but we are trying to do everything we can to make it shorter, such as shipping in bags, not in trays, things like that. So we'll see how we can get through that and do what we can for it. But yeah, hopefully it won't be too long. That design on the back weight? Yeah, so there's let me take the weight out and I'll show you guys up close. There's like a small design here in this bottom corner. Yeah, so Dang Dynasty, we put the full board on the scales and the scales broke. It gave us an error code because it's too heavy for the scales. Right, okay, let's see if we can get this weight out. There we go. This is the weight. You can see it has got a design here. You have to excuse fingerprints because this is going to get very fingerprinty very quickly, but it does have a design here and in the top corner there. And that design pattern that I showed you earlier on is built into the weight here. Look, there you go. Okay, so now we've taken that apart. What we can do is we can take the rest of the board apart. And as you can see, this is all the sandblasted version. This is nice matte finish. It's nice to have like 3 different finishes on the board. So we've got raw machined top, we've got a sandblasted base, and then we've got the polished weight. I'd love to hear your thoughts if there's a way to keep the same design but not have the screws in the middle of the weight. Yeah, I can think of a couple of ways of doing it. You could keep exactly the same design but not have the screws under here. You could do it by going through the weight, which is a poor way of doing it in my opinion. Or you could actually machine a ledge on the inside of the top case, so you'd have to push this in first and then drop it down and only screw in the front edge. That would probably be the way that I would do it rather than this. Am I planning on leaving it raw? Yeah, I'm going to leave this one raw, yeah. Okay, so that's the board now taken into its constituent parts. As you can see, it does have the Design House Com number 13 of 20 edition here on the front, on the inside. It's very basic in design inside. There's very little detail here to talk you through. Like, there's nothing to share. You can see some mill lines here, but this is sandblasted, so that's kind of expected on the inside. You can see that the weight kind of slots in here, and then you've got these ledges that help you pick it up on the side. But yeah, it's very minimal. Now, to remove these screws, what I would do is I'd actually have like a lip on this edge here, so like a raised protrusion. So it would actually come out of here and have like a raised protrusion. And what you would do is as you took the inside the board, you took that ledge inside here and then screw in the front. So the rear would be a ledge that would be locked in place. A little bit like our door handle, when you know when you shut a door and you pull the handle down and it retrieves that little section. As you pull the handle down, it pulls it in. That little section, I'd have that milled into the back of the board, so you clip it in, pop the bottom down, screw it down, and the rear is held in place by friction. That's how I do it. Okay, let's see now if we can weigh each of these parts individually. I think we will be able to. I think the weight is definitely the heaviest piece of all, but let's see. Okay, so the base is 2.3 kilograms. Let's take a note of these. Let me take a note of these. Let me get a notepad up. So the base is 2.3 kilograms, which is 5 pounds 1 ounce. So 5 pound 1 ounce. Okay, that's just the base. Okay. Next up we have the top case and plate assembly. That weighs 2 pounds and 1 ounce. Let's do it in grams first. So in grams, that's 1.33 kilograms. And what did we say that was in pounds? In pounds, that's I'm going to call that £2 15 ounces, 14.8 ounces. I'm going to call it £2 15 ounces. Okay, and then we've got the weight, which is going to be the last part. And then the weight weighs, let's do it in kilograms first, sorry, in grams first. 2,236, so 2.24 kilograms, 2.24 kilograms. Which in pounds and ounces is 4 pounds 14.9. So 4 pounds 15 ounces. Okay, so what does that give us? That gives us a sum total of, let's get the calculator up. For just an unbuilt keyboard, this is just the keyboard, this isn't everything that came in the box, this is just the keyboard. We've got 2.3 kilograms plus 1.33 kilograms plus 2.24 kilograms, which gives us a total of 5.87 kilograms unbuilt. Let's round that up to 6 kilograms built. Let's assume it's going to be 6 kilograms built because we can't really build it. Let's assume it's going to add another 200 grams or so. Let's call it 6 kilograms built. So what's 6 kilograms in... So 6 kg in pounds is 13.227 pounds. So we've got 13 pounds for just the keyboard, plus we've got the 2 trays as well, which takes us to about 18 pounds. 18 pounds just for this kit. 18 pounds just for this kit. Yeah, so JJW we did, and it makes the difference. The difference in weight across this is that the weight of one switch is the difference at weighing it on the mat makes. We already tested that. We already tested it. So there we go. £18, that's a bargain. Okay, so let's talk about the price for this keyboard. For this £18 of keyboard plus the heavy carry case, the total cost to me was $2,010 USD before import fees. So what did I get for that $2,010? I got my pen tray, which was 150 US dollars. I got my mini tray, so that's the pen tray, that's the mini tray. The mini tray was 120 US dollars. Insurance was $17 for shipping. The keyboard itself was $1,500 and shipping was $230. So that's the total cost, which is $2,010 in total. So 150 plus 150, sorry, 1,500 plus 150 plus 120 plus 130 plus 17 rounded down, all came out at $2,010. That was the invoice that I paid, plus import fees, which were 20% of that. So there's another $200 on top for import fees. And that's what this board cost me. And it doesn't come with a PCB. It comes, as you've seen everything here. It doesn't come with any switches, PCB, or anything else. It does come with an aluminium plate though, which you can see is kind of nice, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so there we go, guys. That's the board. That's the board. So I told you I was being bullish with the numbers. I was a little bit, but in reality, we were pretty close. We weren't far off. Like, it's that heavy that I'm having to move things around generally. Right, okay, let's talk about the board itself. So as you can see, the layout is a standard TKL layout. It does support ISO or ANSI, depending on which you prefer. The plate supports both, so we're going to build this in ISO today. The plate's aluminium, and it's kind of anodized like a gold sparkly color. I'm not a big fan of that, and I think I'm just going to change it and get a carbon fiber plate for the final version of this board. But for today, we're just going to go with this. In terms of the mounting, it is just top mount. As you can see, there are screws all around the edges for top mount. But it's kind of a leaf spring top mount, so there is some flexibility to it as well. And I'm surprised to say it's quite flexible. For aluminium, it's a little bit more flexible than I was expecting it to be. Which isn't a bad thing. Which isn't a bad thing. Need a slightly larger screwdriver here. The gold anno looks like KBD fans brass. Maybe. KBD fans usually use good quality materials, to be quite honest with you. They certainly use better quality materials now than they did 5 or 6 years ago when I got into the hobby. I'd probably simplify this design a lot if this was me. I don't think I'd use so many mount points for the screws. Having two, and then one seems a little bit redundant. I'd probably just use one on each of these. I feel like 2 is probably a little bit too much. But we'll go with as the designer intended it to be. So we have an £18 keyboard kit before we put keycaps, switches, PCB all in here. This is a hefty thing. And it's pretty as well. The 2 is for the gasket conversion kit, if I remember correctly. Oh, okay. I've seen mention of the gasket conversion kit. I haven't tried it out myself as yet. I haven't ordered one either. I don't know if it's up for sale yet, but I just have it as it comes. Okay. And that is the board taken apart. So as you can see, it's just standard top mount. It's almost like a leaf spring effect that's been gathered from these, just because they're so thin on the mount points. It is going to add some flexibility. I'm just not a huge fan of aluminium plates anymore. They can bend really easily. They're difficult to work with sometimes. I don't generally like the sound profile of them. So I will be changing this out for carbon fiber at some point in the near future. Again, just to show you this top, I do love seeing all of these mill lines. Look how beautiful they are. All those shapes are the mill lines on the keyboard. Kind of looks like tiger stripes in places. Big fan of it. Okay. Now we've taken it apart and we've weighed it. It's time to do the build, which means that you guys need to pick some switches for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a poll going. I'm going to show you guys the switches that you can pick from. And while you're doing that, I'm going to lube my stabilizers for the board. Let's set up a new poll. So we have a choice of 2 switches, we have a choice of lion switches, and we also have a choice of lavender switches. Let's set the poll going. And whilst the poll's running, guys, you can join the poll directly through chat. If you would like to, you can use bits and things to influence the vote. But we have a choice of Gateron Lion switches, which are basically a Gateron yellow, just rebranded and recolored. Or alternatively, if you prefer, we can build with lavenders. Both of these are stock switches, unlubed. Lavenders are quite possibly the only switch on the market these days that doesn't need any work at all to make it usable. But you guys can pick for me. You can pick between the two, lavenders or lions. And whilst you guys are doing that, I've got a couple of minutes to really quickly build the keyboard. So we're going to use a 7U spacebar on this. We're going to use a full backspace key, assuming I've got enough parts for this. We're going to use an ISO enter key. And that's all the stabilizers we need. Oh no, we need one for right shift actually. We're going to use full right shift because this is a TKL after all. So we've got 4 stabilizers. That's 4 sets of housings. Now to get 4 sets of inserts, that's 1 set. That's 2 sets. That's 3 sets. And that's 4 sets. Oh man, you just missed a good 75. You just missed the Ayla. The Fuji 75 is coming up though. Could you add burger O-rings to burger mount it? You could. I wouldn't choose to do that. I don't like it unless it's been intended by the designer, but you could do that if you'd like to. I think there's plenty of room in the case to accommodate that. Okay, let's get our stabilizers built up. And get these all lubed nicely. So remember guys, when you are lubing stabilizers, it's always better to add a little bit of lube than too much lube. You can always add more lube later on, but it's hard to remove lube once it's on there. So always remember that. Don't go too nuts with your stabilizer lube. But make sure it's a good even covering. And make sure you get it on all sides of the wire as well. And you guys can still vote. You've got about half the time left to vote, so if you guys are still voting for switches, let me know what you'd prefer to see. Whether you'd prefer to see the line switches, which are basically Gateron yellows, so a light switch for a heavy keyboard, or something that's a little bit more popular on the market today, which is lavender switches. Okay. Now we've done the wire for that particular board, we're going to lube the stabilizer rails. I prefer to do this once it's built because then you can see how the lube's moving around inside the stabilizer. We're just going to apply a little bit of lube, very minimal lube on the sliders. Don't need too much. Trying to just make sure that they're moving friction free rather than overdoing it. And we're just going to put a big blob of grease in the back. I say big blob, it's a small piece of grease in the back. And that's just going to make sure that we lose any stabilizer rattle at the top end. And that's one stabilizer lubed. Now to go on to the 2U ones. Soldering isn't a bad thing, Chokeslam. Like sometimes soldering is a good thing. I would always rather buy a solderable kit than a hot swap kit. Nearly always. Just wipe off the excess. Yeah, it's still harder to remove lube than it is to add it. Like, you can wipe it off, but the thing with wiping lube is it just tends to spread it around. And you have much less control over where it goes at that point. The same goes for switches as well. It's always better to add a little bit of lube than add too much. You can always add more later on. Why make things hard for yourselves? This should be a fun, enjoyable hobby, not a frustrating one when you realise you put too much lube on something, you've got to strip everything down and rebuild it. Okay, so it looks like Lavender Switches won the vote pretty handily. So thank you very much to everyone who voted there. I appreciate all of that. I did think the Lions stood a bit more of a chance than that though. Like 83% in favour of the Lavenders. Wow. Lavenders by a landslide. The reason why I dislike hot swap is because it tends to sometimes lead to inconsistent typing. The PCB can come loose from the plate and PCB assembly, depending on how much the hot swap connectors have been used. And sometimes I've experienced people's boards and they've said that they sound great and that their hot swap boards are holding on just fine to the switches, and that's been my experience that it's not been. And it's kind of ended up being slightly rattly, and they think it's the spacebar rattle, but it's not, it's the actual PCB and plate assembly. I just prefer the firmness and the connectedness of a soldering PCB. But it's all about preference. I'm not going to judge anyone for what they like. I'm just letting you know how I feel about things. There's no right or wrong answers in this hobby. Okay, there we go. That's another stabilizer looped. As soon as you said the lines were stock, I voted Lavenders. Fair enough. Hey, Iwane, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm enjoying building it, man. I hope you've... I don't know if you've built yours yet or not. I haven't seen the pictures, so I assume you haven't. I feel like I'd have known if you'd have built it. Iwane is the guy who convinced me to buy one of these just to test it out. The way it looks like a fancy wrist rest. You could use it like that, you could. It'd be hella fancy though. How do I test out switches on a soldered board? I try them and then I desolder the board if I don't like it, or I buy another PCB and rebuild it. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of boards, so I'm probably in the minority. I do have some hot swap boards, but I just don't like the feel of them. Like, I always feel like they're not as secure as other boards. But if I want to try a new switch, I just build a new keyboard. That's how I try switches. I tend to just build a new keyboard. So I'm conscious that that's not something that everyone can do, but that's just my view on it. Okay, so almost done with these. I feel like someone's going to call me out for saying I build a new keyboard every time. I want to try new switches now. Like, I appreciate that not everyone has the option and the ability to do that, and that's why it's my opinion, not necessarily something that I'm saying everyone should live by. I'm very, very fortunate to be in the position I'm in. Okay. $2,000, that would be considered a budget keyboard in 2001, right? 2021, right? I think it depends entirely on the size of your pocketbook, dude. Knowing your collection, I suspect it would be, yeah. I have keyboards that cost like $100, and I have keyboards that cost a few $1,000s. It's all kind of relative to who you are, what you see value in, and that's going to be different to every person, right? Like, if you ask Full, he's he's got like 10 TGRs now, so you should ask him about his TGR collection. I think my favorite bang for buck keyboard right now is the Icky Aurora 68. I think like bang for buck, that's such a good value board. In the specific $100 category, I was sent a keyboard a while back that I paid full price for, which was $110, I think, which was a stacked acrylic case. And you know what? It's called the Lubriganti, and it was actually really, really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed it and thought it was the best sounding keyboards I had at the time. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait for my Semo FE, just waiting for the PCB group buy. Yeah, so I just used I will be using a Heine PCB today. That's what I'll be using today. Right, okay, that's all of our stabilizers now lubed and ready to go. So it's time to get these into the PCB. Let's say this is a Heine PCB. It is from the Heine TKL1 group buy, but this should fit as far as I'm aware, because it's just standard H87C. So here you go. I figured the purple and gold would work well together. Yeah. This should work just fine for this particular board, he says. Hoping it all works and lines up. It does. Let's get the stabilizers in. So as I said before, we're going full backspace. ISO enter. If this PCB supports it, which it does. Full right shift and split left shift with a 7U bottom row. There we go. We're going to flip this over, and then we're going to screw those down. Now, guys, when you're screwing in PCB screws like this, don't screw them too tight. I've had a couple of people send me boards to repair that they claim I've shipped them damaged, and it's been because they've screwed these screws in too tight and they've cracked the PCB. You're not trying to kill the PCB, you're just trying to hold the stabilizers in nice and gently. You don't have to over tighten these. You just want to make sure it's got a firm grab, and then do a quarter turn more, and you're good to go. Why is it 2K? It's made of ALBC3, which is a material that hasn't been used in keyboards before. So it's really heavy. Like it weighs like, well, we talked about it earlier on. It weighs like 7 kilograms. Just for the board as well. So it's a really, really hefty board. ALBC3 is a really tough material to machine and to mill and to maintain. So the board was quite expensive in group buy. Yeah, I don't have the Wooks yet, Good Guy Entity. As far as I know, they DHL overnighted him a single board. I've got a massive shipment. It's 700 packages coming in, so 700 boxes. So, you know, like, it's going to take some time for that to ship to me. It's on its way. The day they get here, if you follow my Instagram, you'll see them because it'll be on Instagram. Pretty much everything like that is shared on my Instagram. All of the stuff that we do at Prototypist is shared on Instagram. Usually through stories rather than posts, but yeah. Like, I can't ship what I don't have, but I should have them relatively soon. I can't tell you whether it will be the beginning or end of September, but it won't take me long to start shipping them out once I receive them. I'm going to be in trouble for not telling you about this board full. 7 other people, including me, who got the FE ones, I told about it, so I have 6 other people mad at me. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Purple PCB Heine H88C. This is actually from the TKL1 group buy. Whoops. I finally got my TKL1 last week, and I ordered a secondary PCB just for a spare, but it happens that it fits this board nicely, so we're just going to use it for this today. What headphones are those? These are the Sony XM3s. They have Sony XM4s as well, but we're wearing the XM3s today because I think I left the XM4s at home. So it's an XM3 day today. How much will the gasket problem delay the shipping of the JR1? I don't know at the minute. So we discovered late on Friday that the gaskets so all of the different parts were sent to the keyboard manufacturer for them to ship out all in one to here. So the PCBs were shipped to the keyboard manufacturer, the gaskets were shipped to the keyboard manufacturer, and the plan was that they would ship everything to me. When we started to look at QC of some boards late on Friday, after we'd done a bit of inventory, we realized that the gaskets weren't there. So it's the weekend. I don't get a response from the manufacturer over the weekend. Everyone takes weekends off, as I'm sure you can appreciate. So I'm hoping to hear back first thing on Monday whether they've found the gaskets in their warehouse or whether they still haven't. If they have, then we'll just DHL them overnight to me as quick as possible, and it shouldn't delay anything at all. If we need to have them remade, well, then I'll make an announcement once I've sorted that out. I genuinely don't know at the moment. Yeah, so the XM3s are really good. The XM4s have slightly better noise cancelling, I've found. And also you can use them across the XM4s across multiple devices at the same time, so I can seamlessly switch between my phone and the PC. The XM3s are just limited to one device at a time that you're working with. But yeah, the XM3s are really solid. I usually use these in the workshop, and I use the XM4s for office and home use. Okay, so we've got our PCB all ready now. Now you guys picked the lavender switches, so we'll get these ready. Yeah, WOOC are already selling extras, but I'll have extras here in the UK shortly. I can't ship what I don't have, remember, guys. You know, and I feel like some people are saying, oh, if WOOC have sent them out, why haven't you? Because WOOC sent their customers out, their customer sales boards out, at the same time they sent all the other vendors boards out. I don't have them yet, so I can't ship them. As soon as I get them, I'll ship them. Okay, so just going to put a couple of switches here and just see how these fit into the plate assembly and the PCB assembly. See if they actually hold on or if they need a little bit of work. So it looks like I just need to do a little bit of massaging to get everything to fit here. Okay. There we go. Hey Wayward Fox, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you being here. I have the XM3s myself and came from the QC35s. The missing multi-device support is the only gripe I have with the XM3s. Yeah, the XM4s do rectify that, and the XM4s are solid. They're really good. I've never dropped an expensive keyboard, touch wood. To whoever asked about the JR1 cost, Dematax has posted the prices there for you. Okay. This is nice and easy on the build. Just pushing these in is nice and easy. They're clipping into the plate nicely. Everything's holding in place. This is a nice part of the build experience. Sometimes you find that things just don't quite work on when you're pushing plates and PCBs together and putting switches in. This feels good. Let's put it down to that Heine PCB and the Semo engineering. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. I just know it'll be September. Good guarantee. I don't have them on hand. I can't ship them just yet. And the the additional part is that a lot of international shipping tracking doesn't really work. It's not like standard DHL tracking when you get it overnighted or within a few days. Like the tracking can go weeks without updates. So the last I heard, the Icky Auroras were in Germany. They'd just come off the train in Germany. That was about 8 days ago. Usually from there it's about 4 weeks to get to me. But I won't get any more updates because it comes by train and Channel Tunnel and everything else. Like, I won't get any more updates until the day that they're actually due to be delivered. Like, that'll be the next update that I get. That's just how bulk international shipments work. Will the Heine PCBs you get fit the Semo FE? No, the Heine PCBs I'll have in stock next week or the week after when I get around to listing them. They are all they're not USB-C. They're mini USB. So sadly they won't work. Blue toggles redeemed posture check. There we go. Yes, we're comfortable. On an unrelated note, though, is anyone here still waiting on the Mark 65 in the UK and also regretting ever joining that group buy? It didn't run so long ago, right? I think that was only like 6 months ago, right? Yeah, I'll have the Heine PCBs in stock next week. The H87As I'll have in stock, as well as the H60 JST and the H60As as well. H87Cs might be later on. Oh, does it fit? I haven't tried it. I think the actual board is designed to take USB-C, but it might fit the H87A. I'm not sure, but I will have some of those. Yeah, I'll have more Heine PCBs in the future. It's something Heine and I have already talked about at length. Regime hydrate. Get some water. Cool. Good to know. I think, Laserman, you're confusing with the aftermarket and the group buy pricing. Sorry, the group buy sales as being faster. It's not going to be like that because, like, the Mark 65 shipped in China, the original one, like months ago. Like that's just how it works. Getting something on the aftermarket from a different area vendor, it just feels like you're trying to drag the vendor that sold the Mark 65 down, which I think was Mechboards, right? They're really good guys. They're really good guys. Am I tired? No, I'm not tired. I'm the type of person that never really feels too tired. Are MCU shortages starting to be relieved yet? No, is the short answer. They're not. For the JO1s, we actually had to redesign the PCB 3 times to change it to different MCUs, and every time we got to a new MCU, that one started having shortages. I haven't really kept up on the Mark 65, so I'm not sure what the QC issues are. I'm sure that Mechboards will do the right thing, whatever the issues are, though. They're good guys over at Mechboards. They know what they're doing. Okay, so we've got a slight issue here where the plate just isn't wanting to quite support some of the switches down here. I'm just going to give it a tug upwards. And no, I can't get that back in the hole there. There it is. Wayward Fox, I saw some people Menti? Oh, mention JO3 and JO4 in the Discord, but I haven't heard of those. What are they? So the JO3 is a kind of like a CP version of the J series boards. It's kind of got a TKL on the right hand side, but it doesn't have any modifiers on the right hand side of the numpad. It's just 3 columns for the numbers. It's uncertain whether the JO3 will actually go into production or not. We haven't even prototyped it yet. It may or may not happen. TBC on that one. The JO4 is actually the J0.4 for 40%. That's more likely to happen, and I think we'll probably be running the prototype of that towards the end of the summer. I recently got 100 Hyperglide Blacks off of MM, and I don't know whether to use an LU plate or FR4. I think that entirely depends on your preference and what board they're going in. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. We're already at the end of summer. No, we're not. No, we're not. September's the end of summer. It's not September yet. It can't be the end of summer until autumn starts, right? Autumn doesn't start yet. If you look on the Discord, Wayward Fox, there should be an archived channel for the J03 right at the very bottom. You might be able to see some old renderings of what the board could potentially look like down there. I think with the Frog, the bigger difference will be the tadpoles that you pick. They'll probably have more of an impact on it than the plate assembly. Okay, almost there with the switches now. British Summer Thunderstorm is about to start. Yeah, we kind of had that start today here where I am. Summer hardly ever even starts, and it just feels like it's always raining. I mean, that's most of the UK, it's not just a Wales thing. Okay, now we're going to go for stepped caps lock because stepped caps lock is best. Probably won't do a POM plate for it. No, I'm going to get a carbon fiber plate made for it. Like, I think my final build for this board will be carbon fiber in there. Okay. Now, for the bottom row, we're going to use 7U, and we're going to use two 1.5U keys and two 1U keys. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some keycaps to make sure we get those in the right spots. So I'm just going to grab some 1.5U keys and a 7U keycap for the space. We're just going to put these on lightly and in position just to make sure that we know where the keycaps are going to go, but not so much that it's actually going to be clipped onto the board fully. All we're trying to do is just locate which switch sockets we're going to put the keycaps in. So we're going to go in there, and then we've got a 1U. Jay, give your CF plate to Chris. You're not doing anything with yours. What CF plate? What are you on about? What are you on about? The final build for this board will have a CF plate in. You're making no sense, man. Making no sense. I feel like summer never arrived this year. Quite sad, really. I don't know. We had like a good, really strong, good week early on in the year. I know because I remember driving the Datsun every day. Okay, so we've used the keycaps to align the key switches on that side of the keyboard, and now we're going to use the same keycaps to do it on the other side as well. Derek, I'm confused now. What do you mean PC? Oh, it wants me to give you... Oh, right, okay. I apologise. I didn't follow. No, it's alright. I'll get a CF plate cut dead easy. I think we'll be running another CF group buy pretty soon anyway. Sorry, I misread, Derek. I misread. I apologise. Okay, there we go. We now have all of our switches in place. And it's time to start soldering. Which means, guys, that when we're soldering, you guys can ask me any questions you like. And as long as it's Twitch safe, I'll answer. So you can ask me any question you would like to in the world about any topic whatsoever. And I will answer you. I'll give you a straight, honest answer to the best of my ability about any topic whatsoever, but only when I'm soldering. So you can ask it about anything at all. It doesn't have to be keyboards. I'm going to give you guys a minute or two to think of your questions and start getting those in. And then as soon as I start soldering, I'm going to start answering those questions. I'm just going to check for bent pins first, make sure we've got all of the switches in nicely and that nothing's bent. And assuming that all of the pins are good, we'll start soldering. But you guys can ask me anything about any topic whatsoever. Can be keyboard related, can be otherwise. No holds barred. Anything you like, I will answer to the best of my ability about any topic whatsoever. And I'll let you know what my thoughts, feelings, opinions are to a really honest level on that particular topic. So all you need to do is just tag me with @jprototypist and I'll answer your questions. Okay. This is where no one asks any questions. Okay, Laserman saying how you find your new pickup. Are you asking how I found it or how do I find it to drive? Which is the question there. I'll come back to that one. Demon Tech says, you do know the name of that physical phenomenon when people see a purple thing which is not in fact there? No, I've not heard of this. What's this? They see a purple thing which is not there? No, I don't know anything about this. Someone mentioned this to me the other day about a purple thing in the workshop stream. I think it was on my Instagram stories and there was no purple thing there, so I don't know what it was about. I don't know where it came from. I think we should probably call it prototypeitis. But yeah, prototypeitis. Purple things that don't exist. If we discover a phenomenon, we can name it, right? I'm sure that's how it works. Bank info. Okay. So I said I'd answer anything honestly. So I'm not going to give you my bank info. But what I will tell you is I worked for a bank for a long time. I actually worked for a big bank here in the UK for a long time. For 16 years before I retired back in April. So I'm officially retired now. But yeah, the industry that I actually worked in for a long time was banking, or fintech, to be a little bit more specific, financial technology services. Now, if you'd like to send money to me, my banking details are j@prototypist.net on PayPal. There you go. Wayward Fox says, how many cars is too many cars? Okay, so I'm at 9 right now. I promised the wife I wouldn't get into double figures again. She made me sell and gift away a couple of cars when I did hit double figures last time. So I'm at 9 right now. I don't think, if it was up to me, there's no such thing as too many cars. Same as there's no such thing as too many keyboards, right? I don't see me having any number of cars as being too many. I think it gets increasingly harder to keep track of all that need their MOT tests and annual tax charges and everything else that's due on them. That gets increasingly difficult to manage, but that's the only downside to having all the different cars. But yeah, it's getting difficult to manage like things like insurance when that's all due and stuff. So it's interesting, but I don't think the answer to me is any specific number. N+1. Blue Toggle says, have you seen the AV? Oh, the Ava. I might join the extras. Do you mean the AV or the Ava? I'm not sure which one you mean. Both are real boards. I'm not sure which one you mean. I didn't realize that the AV had actually started shipping yet because I wasn't sure whether the Royal was back in the hobby or not. How you like the pickup and some interesting details about it. Okay, so the latest pickup is the green one, which is a 1967 Datsun 521. Originally it was grey. It came from Japan. It's right-hand drive. It's never been welded or repaired, but it has been resprayed, and it was resprayed olive green. The olive green paint isn't the best paint job, I'll be honest, and it probably needs redoing, but I'm going to make it a rat look and just sand back any places that are patinaing too much. I'm just going to sand it back, flat it all back, clear coat it, and then polish it up, just so it looks a bit more rat look. That's my aim for that truck. It's got a 1.3 litre overhead cam Nissan J series engine, a J1300, which sounds quite low, but it only has 70 horsepower, give or take. But it's really torquey, so it'll lift a heavy load and it'll pull a heavy load. It spent most of its working life in Japan. The last few years, it's actually been used as a parts car for an automotive parts store. So they've basically been running alloy wheels and car parts and stuff like that in it around certain stores in Japan. And that's where a friend of mine found it, and now it's mine here in the UK. Pew Pew Laser says, "Hey Jay, excited for my custom JO1. What's the most exciting thing to make with the new laser printer?" I think the most exciting thing that I'm going to be making with the new laser printer is some more things for keyboards, is all I can say right now. I have some plans on some new stuff I want to make, and because the new laser is going to be faster and larger, it's going to allow me to scale up a lot quicker and make things a lot faster than I have been able to in the past. A lot of the keyboard stands and lube stations and stuff won't ever go out of stock once the new laser's up and running, because it's basically going to be working 24/7. So once that's up and running, then there'll be times when those things just don't go out of stock anymore. They're always available. But it'll enable me to do some new products as well, which I've already got plans for and designs for. I just actually need to make them. So yeah, it's exciting. The current laser, I haven't decided if I'm going to get rid of or keep, and just do things like laser etching into aluminium and that kind of stuff. It might be that we have one laser that cuts and one laser that etches, and we see how that goes for a time. Who knows? What cars do I have at the moment? So I have a 1970s Datsun Fairlady Z. I have a 1970s Datsun 620 pickup truck. I have a 1960s Datsun 521 pickup truck. I have a 1960s Nissan P130, which is the predecessor to the Gloria / Laurel / Cedric line. I have a 2018 Mazda CX-5, which my wife drives a lot more than I do. I have a 1999 Peugeot 307 3-litre turbo diesel, which is going to be a track car when I get that finished. I have a 2011 Peugeot 107, which is a great little city car that me and my wife use for city trips and things like that. I have, what else have I got? I've just recently sold a VW Caddy pickup truck, and I also have a Tesla Model 3, which I picked up on Friday. I think that's all of them. I think that's everything. I think that's my car list at the moment. What do you think about the Hex 4B in the Portal by Parallel Unlimited? Haven't seen them, so I don't know. If you drop a link, JSavs, I'll take a look and have a look for you. What's your favourite way to cook an egg? My favourite way actually to cook an egg is to poach them. I love a poached egg. Who is the PJO1 for? All of the JO1s are for customers. That's a true fact. Every single JO1 is for a customer. That's a fact. If the rule is for double digits for cars, is it quadruple digits for keyboards? I'm miles away from quadruple digits. I'm high into the triple digits, but I'm miles away from the quadruple digits. Miles away from the quadruple. I think it's somewhere around 250 is the current number. I think. But I don't have a set number and I don't have an exact count, I'm afraid. It was at 214 at the beginning of the year, I know that. Because a good friend of mine came and counted a lot of them. It's time to count your cows in hexadecimal. It's a good shout. Did you order the JO2 Blackout prototype yet? Really looking forward to some pictures and new info. Yes, I did. The JO2 Blackout prototype has been in production for a number of weeks now. Hopefully it should be with me towards the back end of this month, early next month, and I think the group buy will be next month, irrespective. I don't have a set date yet. The lavender switches are completely stock for this particular build. The lavenders are completely stock. What does filming a switch do? So the switches are made of two halves, basically a top and bottom, and you've got some other components in there, but that's not really affected too much by the films. What the films do is when you open a switch, or when switch is manufactured, there's tolerance between the top and bottom. And if you imagine it's a little bit like a door fitting in a doorway, sometimes that door will move or rattle in the doorway, and you can fit like a little bit of foam around the inside, or you can adjust the lock or whatever to make the door fit better. Basically, that's what switch films are doing. They're taking up the tolerance between the top of the switch and the bottom of the switch, which has often negatively affected that tolerance by opening the switch, and just making sure that the switch fits together a bit firmer. By the housing fitting together a bit firmer, you tend to find that the stem's a little bit less wobblier, and also it changes the tone of the keycap, because the way that the sound wave moves through the material is differentiated. Instead of just going through the two different types of plastic for the top and bottom housing, it now has a dampener in between that it hits as well. So it tends to affect all three things. I hope that helps. That's a really whistle-stop tour about what switch films do and how they work, but I hope that gives you an idea. Not double digits cars. What if you order 91 at the same time and skip double, go right to triple? I cannot afford to order 91 cars at the same time. That just doesn't work. That just does not work. It's a good idea though. I like it. I'm jealous of the Fair Lady, one of my dream cars. Yeah, I've had it for about 7 years now. I fully restored it a few years back. Did all the work myself, and it's my dream car. It's like the one car that I don't ever see myself getting rid of. It needs a couple of things doing to it. Like I took off the window winder handles from the inside of the doors. I need to re-put those back on, which I'll do at some point soon, probably when it's rolled up for the winter. I also have a new gearbox that I want to fit to it, a 5-speed gearbox, so I'm probably going to change the clutch at the same time and put the new gearbox in, but I want to get the gearbox recommissioned first, so I'm going to have to send that off over the winter, get it recommissioned over the winter period, and then early spring next year fit it to the car with a new clutch assembly. That's the current plan. But yeah, I love that car. It's amazing. It's everything I could want in a car and more. Peugeot 306, sorry. Wait, is it a 306 or a 307? No, it's a 307. It's 307, I'm sure it is. I have to check. I can't remember. Sounds like all of your cars are somewhat cheap to insure, at least they would be here. So the Tesla is probably the most expensive to insure. The Datsuns are rare and classic cars, so they're under classic car insurance, which isn't as expensive as normal road car insurance. The Mazda, all of the cars have both me and my wife fully insured and fully claimed on them. I probably spend about £2,000 British a year in insuring cars, which isn't a lot of money for the amount of cars I have. It's pretty cheap. The total value of the cars is probably somewhere like, I don't know, £250,000, I'd guess. Okay. Okay, let's see what the next question is. Oh, my young says, how is the Tesla? Which Model 3 did you go for? I went for the Long Range Plus model. I didn't go for the Performance model because I didn't see the benefit of paying all that extra cash for it. But the Long Range seemed like a good step up over the Standard Edition for the price. I also added full auto driving capability to the car as well as an added extra. In terms of how I'm liking it, yeah, I've done about 100 miles in it and I'm enjoying driving it. I think it's great fun. It's incredibly powerful. It's a nice car. It's got everything I could need. It's very comfortable. It's very easy to drive. Yeah, it's good. It's solid. I have zero complaints so far. I'll probably have more of an opinion in a couple of weeks when I've done 1,000 miles or so in it. Probably better to ask me on that one then. But yeah, I love the car so far. Have no bad words for it as yet. Except for maybe the price. They're expensive. They're not cheap. Does it have to be Heinz? Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, Blue Toggles asked what happened to my back. I slipped a disc in my back a couple of months ago. I'm actually pretty much recovered now and about to start physiotherapy in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I slipped a disc in my back, in my thoracic spine. I can't remember which vertebrae it was, but yeah, I basically slipped a disc. Like, I can still feel it. It's still there. It still niggles me, but it's pretty much back to normal in terms of what I can do and what I can't do. But it was touch and go for a little bit. It was very painful. Washing machines live long with Calgon. Yeah, I remember that advert, yeah. Washing machines live longer with Calgon. Yeah. Definitely not London. Auto glass repair, auto glass replaced. Yeah, I know those ones. Yeah. Are you looking forward to the next Formula 1 race? I'm really excited for Belgium and the Netherlands. I'm always looking forward to the next Formula 1 race. I think the next couple of races are really going to determine how the rest of the championship's going to play out. I'd like to see Max Verstappen win, but I'm pretty certain that Lewis Hamilton's going to win the championship this year. And then I think we're going to see some big changes for next year. I actually think that what's going to do the damage to Max Verstappen's final races isn't going to be that Hamilton's going to be in the faster car at all. I think they're going to be really evenly matched. But I think the Ferraris, with the engine upgrades that they've got for the next race, are actually going to take back second spot from the two. And it's going to be really in the mix. And that mix is what's going to stop Max Verstappen being able to take back Hamilton's spot at the top of the championship. So I think that having 3 different manufacturers fighting for those top spots, that's going to be the real trick. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. The biggest downside to that is that Lando Norris will stop being able to be as high up if we do see Ferrari improve as much as I expect they will. What do I think of the PE foam mod? Is this the one where you put it under switches? Like, there's so many different mods out there. Tell me which specific mod you mean. If it's the PE foam mod, like you see on the Jelly Epoch, I think it's a bit of a crutch to fix a problem that shouldn't really exist in modern day keyboard design. But that being said, I can't deny with how well it works. Like, it works really, really well for what it is. If that's the one that you mean. But there's so many different mods out there that I lose track of the different names for them and what they specifically mean. Is it expensive to get a car imported from Japan? Always been curious on how it works in the UK for us. It's not massively expensive. You have to pay for shipping, which can be about £1,000–1,500. You have to pay VAT on the import, which can be, well, 20% of whatever the value is, plus duty, which on most cars is about 7%. Plus you'll have someone in Japan that will do all of the loading onto a ship for you and the freight forwarding. That's going to cost you a small bundle. If you spend 10 grand on a car, expect it to cost you another 4 grand on the costs just to get it here. And then of course you have to get it through an MOT, a test here in the UK, and then register it as well with the DVLA. That's all got some small costs associated with it, but that'll be another couple £100 in total, assuming you don't need to do much work. You have to remember that a lot of cars manufactured in other countries or sold in other countries don't comply with UK legislation. So sometimes you'll have to add things like it might be fog lights, or you might have to change the angle of the pattern on your full beams and dipped beams. There's always something that you need to do on cars when you import them. It's very rare you can just drive them straight off the dock and be good to go and register them here in the UK. I haven't seen the Hex 4B or the Porter by Parallel, JSAV. Sorry, I haven't seen those. Yeah, Fox, good evening. Thanks very much for being here. Voice of an angel. Would you collab with Glasses for a TKC diss track? TKC and I work together quite a lot. Glasses and I work together quite a lot. I think it'd be okay. Yeah. I'm not in the business of dissing people. Like, I get on with everyone. Like, I don't have any issues with anyone in the world, except maybe Donald Trump. That's a different matter entirely. But no, like, I of all the people I know and meet, I very rarely have any issues with them, and there is no one that I've ever spoken to that I wouldn't like to speak to again at some point. So I'm not the type to promote diss tracks or anything like that. It's not the kind of thing I'd like to do. I just feel like that's negative for the community, no matter which way you pull it out. Open and honest feedback is where things are at. That's what you should be giving. Okay, almost there now, guys. If you've got any questions, now's the time to ask them, especially if they're not keyboard related. Matt's dad works for the DVLA. Nice. How well do I get along with Black Simon? Do you know what? We haven't really spoken much. We spoke a little bit in the past, but I haven't spoken to him in a long time. I don't have any issues with him. His content's not always for me. I like some of his content. Like his review of the F1 Atex by GeoWorks was really good. I thought that was some really good content. I'm not necessarily for his style of content a lot of the times, but I think he's a good streamer. He knows what he's talking about. He's clearly very intelligent and articulate. I have the ISO macro pad that he designed. I have it right here actually. I have one of these. This is what he designed. So yeah. If I wasn't running PT, what would I like to be doing? Well, I mean, officially, legally, I'm retired now, right? So, I'd probably still be retired if I'm completely honest. I'd just probably concentrate on importing and exporting cars. That's probably what I'd do. Maybe set up a small business importing and exporting cars. It's something I actually kind of want to do on the side with my father-in-law. We talked about it a few times actually. Just importing and exporting cars and having a bit of fun with that. So that's something I'll probably spin up at some point. Oh, yeah, we have a mutual friend who has been singing your praises at work. Jamal's on Discord. Oh, hey, I know Jamal. He's coming to visit me this week. Yeah, he's a good dude. I have a lot of time for him. The window to ask anything and stretch my imagination too far. It's fine. Wait, folks, don't worry about it. It's good. What's your thoughts on big brand companies, Amazon, Google, etc.? Okay. I think let's get some real talk before we finish the build stream here. Okay, real talk now. My take on big companies is that we kind of need them in the economy right now. If we didn't have those big companies, we would probably be languishing in the development stakes a little bit, and we wouldn't be as far advanced as we are. We wouldn't have the products we have today. You know, because you have to remember that a lot of these big companies are behind the scenes. Companies like Intel and ARM, they're massive conglomerates. They're huge companies, you know, worth multiple billions in their own right. I think that they're incredibly important to the economy right now. I think that they need to change how they treat people and how they act. I don't think they're necessarily good from that perspective, but they're a necessary evil given the state of where we're at with capitalism. So capitalism is a funny thing, and I think it has a finite lifespan, and I think to keep that lifespan as long as possible, which we kind of need to do just because of the way the world's set up right now, these big companies are the only thing that's keeping that going in some respects, especially in the US, and also in terms of how they employ people around the world to make their products, whether that's right or wrong and whether they're paying the right amounts or not. Kind of irrelevant to my point here, but still relevant to the wider discussion, so we'll get to those in a second. So I think that they're a necessary evil of these big companies. I think that they probably need a little bit more regulation in terms of how they do things to fix things like the problems we have with, you know, Foxconn in China and child labor and, you know, Nike and all of that kind of stuff with child labor and stuff. So I think we need to make sure that that's addressed. But in terms of the fact that we have these big companies, I think they're generating so much innovation and so much development that they're doing something that we haven't had since the Cold War gave us the space race, right? That's where war has always been the driver of technology, and right now it's not. It's large, big behemoth companies that have unlimited resources and unlimited potential that are giving us that kind of drive. So I'd like to see eventually, as over the next 10-20 years, as move away from that and move to a model where innovation doesn't have to be done by large, big scale companies, but is actually freely available to all. And I think the internet is a big tool in that. Having worldwide communication, open source communication with people is going to be massive towards that. But I think that at the moment, right now where we are, they're a necessary evil, but they need more regulation on how they treat employees. I hope that makes sense. It's a really good question, probably the best question of the day. Oops, hit the wrong button. So yeah, I hope that helps, Charlie Cootie. Is that rust water you're drinking? Yeah, iron brew, rust water, made with girders. What is your opinion on the NVIDIA ARM deal? Oh, it's tough, right? Like, I have friends who work at ARM. I don't have any insider knowledge on it. I only know what's in the news. I think it's going to stifle innovation in the next 5 years. Like, I think it's going to be fine now for the products that have just come out or are just about to come out, but in 5 years' time, it's going to stifle innovation because it's just making too much. It's giving too much power over the semiconductor industry to one company. That's my worry about it. It's a monopoly at that point, and it's going to be a negative monopoly for the industry. So there we go. Derek says, following on from the corporate question, thoughts on globalization, especially as we're seeing supply chain issues centralized in China. Okay, so supply chain issues that we're seeing in China are actually all down to Toyota. So back in the 1950s, after the Second World War, and Toyota was trying to expand, they came up with what they called the lean architecture. Now, lean just means like taking the fat off, cutting out the fat. And they came up with this supply and demand mechanism that means that they have just the right amount of supply to meet the demand at any given time. And we now call that just-in-time manufacturing. So they do it for everything. They had it for every single production line. Like, the cars weren't ready until all of the parts were ready, which meant that if the last thing to go in was the dash was ready as soon as the rest of the car was built. The wheels were ready to go on the car. You know, everything was ready right as it was needed. And that kind of got adopted by so many companies worldwide, like almost every company worldwide. Anyone who manufactures now does just-in-time manufacturing. The problem was that was great for growth, but now when we're hitting to a kind of like level playing field we are, and then you have something like COVID thrown on top, it means that just-in-time manufacturing doesn't work, because we can't have people going to work, and we can't create new products, and we can't build those new products because the supply lines are now just stopping. That's why we're seeing supply prices increase for everything from aluminium to brass to everything else we're using, semiconductors, everything that we use in keyboards. But not only in keyboards, it's every single industry. So if you build houses, you can't get hold of wood and timber and plywood sheets to build your house anymore. You can't get hold of bricks and stone wall. You can't get hold of plasterboard or anything else like that because it's so expensive. One of the hardest things to find in the UK right now is fence panels. If you want to build a fence, you can't buy fence panels because there is none. There is no supply of them. And that's because we hit just-in-time manufacturing. And the reason why it's centrified on China is because China makes so much of our products. But all of the ships left China towards the beginning of COVID, beginning of 2019, all the way through 2019. All the way through 2020. The ships left China and then had no reason to go back because China wasn't shipping anything out. So now we're in a situation where the ships don't want to go back unless they have something to take to China because it's not worth just sailing there in any case. And China hasn't got enough ships to ship stuff out. So it's kind of like a catch-22 situation. It will catch up and it will be fine in the future. It's a bit of an issue. So there we go. There we go. But yeah, you can blame it on. You can blame it on, literally on Toyota. Like I say blame. Blame's a harsh word. It's not really fair. But Toyota invented the process by which most manufacturing now works. The interesting thing is, Toyota actually changed the way that they do this, and they don't do that anymore. Which is why, for a short time, they were the only manufacturer with semiconductor chips, so they're able to produce new cars. But this is why we end up in a situation where the day you drive a car off the forecourt, it no longer loses value. It's now worth more than it was the day you bought it. Like my Tesla, I've actually had offers, £5,000, £6,000 GBP, more than what I paid for the car to buy it off me right now as it is. Now, I'm not going to sell it because I don't want to sell it, but it's actually worth more right now, even though I own it, than it was when it sat on the forecourt. It's interesting times. Interesting times. Anyway, there we go. We talked about that. Back to the build. I hope that was good enough for you guys. But yeah, lean and agile methodologies all kind of spiralized out of that whole Toyota industry. It was an interesting thing. There's some good documentaries out of it. You should go check them out. Okay, so we've built the keyboard. We've soldered it all together. Next thing to do is to test that it works. So let's grab switch hitter and let's see if it works. Okay, so you guys should be able to see switch hitter in the bottom corner of the screen. I'm just going to steal this USB-C cable. We're going to plug the board in. Going to give it a second to set up, and then we're going to see if it works. Okay. All working across the top row. All working across there. QWERTY row now. All working so far. All working still. Arrows all work. This alt key's not working. I wonder if that's... Did we solder this alt key? Yeah, I wonder if that's set up for an FN function. Let's just see if we can make it do something different. There we go, yeah. Okay, so I managed to reset the device. So that's set up as an FN key. There we go. Nice and easy. Okay, so the next job is to put the plate back in the top case. We can get rid of switches here. We know that that's all working now. Let's plug the matrix meter back in. Tesla flipping. Yeah. Thanks to the STM shortage, sold a truck for more than expected when we went to Piggy 16. Nice. It's a composite of aluminium and bronze together. Yeah. Okay, let's get the board put back together and then we can pick some keycaps for it. I thought the top case was stuck then because it wouldn't come off, but it turns out it's just heavy. Wrong screwdriver. Thanks for answering the questions. Anytime. You guys can still ask questions. They're just, it's now better that they're more keyboard related. But I'll always answer questions about any topic. Even if I don't have a thought on it initially, I'll figure out a thought and I'll let you know. Okay, I'm interested to see how this board sounds actually once we get some keycaps on it, see what it actually sounds like. The Icky won't arrive before Jamo's visits. No, he's going to visit me tomorrow, I think, or Tuesday. I'm not sure, but it's going to be the next couple of days. The Icky Auroras are somewhere in Germany right now, so it's likely to be another couple of weeks before they arrive here on the train. I'm expecting them to arrive here sometime around the middle of September, I think. Might be slightly before then, it might be slightly later. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see when they arrive because I post stories every day about what we're doing in the workshop. What switches would you recommend for tactile and linear? Oh man, like that's such a subjective question. I hate answering that question. I think if I had to tell you my favorite tactile switches right now, I'd say Lavender's. Sorry, Anubis switches. If I had to tell you my favorite linear switches right now, I'd say Lavender's. But it's really difficult. There we go. That's all put together. Now it's time to put the base on, and then we can put the weight in. Oh. Man, this is a chunk. Oof. Supposedly the Decent 65 is shipping this week. Almost forgot I joined the group buy for it. I didn't join that group buy, but I'm glad to hear it's shipping. How many sets of EPBT Duo will you gently caress? I'm going to buy 5 for myself, just 5 for my personal collection, I think. But hopefully it'll sell really well. I think Sour deserves a good selling set, to be honest. Are you going to do all of the QC for the JO1s by yourself? Most of it. I do have Mel who comes in and helps as well, so she'll be helping with the QC over the course of this next week. Yeah, most of the QC will be done by me. Like, we're never going to finish it in just 9 to 5 hours, Monday to Friday, which is what Mel will be working this week. I suspect it's going to take me somewhere in the region of 200 hours to QC all of the boards. So it's unlikely that we'll get that finished. Just during Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 hours. But we'll see. You never know. Never say never. Okay, time to drop in this hugely heavy weight now. Oof, didn't want to try my fingers there. Trolling Cootie says, any thoughts on the Rama Cake keycaps? They look super interesting. I think my biggest issue with them is there's no ISO support, but they do have split left shifted support, which is kind of interesting. I will try them out at some point. I think they're quite expensive for what they are, but I appreciate that it's the first time these have been run and they're a new profile, so I get that there's expenses to set that stuff up. I'm not sure I like the idea of having to pay so much extra for the trays. But yeah, overall, I think more keycap sculpts on the market is a good thing rather than a negative thing. MT3 and SA profiles. I don't use SA anywhere near as much as I used to these days, but I really do like how MT3 just hugs your fingers. How's Mel? She's doing really well, actually. I messaged her earlier on. In fact, she might message me back. Did she message me back? Did she message me back? She did. Okay. There we go. Did you join the GMK Deep Navy group buy? Missed out on it and I regret everything. I didn't know. It was one group buy I didn't join. Can't even order a Kate set from the UK since she doesn't meet the minimum order quantity threshold. Correct, yes. I don't know if I'm going to order 2 or if I'm just going to have a chat with Rama when they come in. I'm not sure. We'll sort something out. You handled the group buy of the Sol 3. Did you get one for yourself? I did. I got a white one. Yes, I bought a white one for myself. Ugh. Right, okay. So, oh god, I can't lift this up. This is too heavy. Genuinely, this is too heavy. Like, I rarely say that about things, but this is too heavy. Like, it's so heavy. Like genuinely, that's a struggle to lift. Like, it's a really struggle to lift. It's too heavy. How beautiful is it though, guys? How beautiful. Right, okay. Next poll, guys, which I'm going to run now, is going to give you guys the chance to choose some keycaps for the board. And you guys are going to help me dress the keyboard up. I'm just going to type these up and put the poll live, and then I'll talk you through the keycap sets that I have. Well, keycap sets I have to hand. Okay, the poll is now live, so you can choose keycaps now. And we have 4 sets for you to choose from. So you can choose from GMK Olivia. You can choose GMK 9s. If the camera focuses. There we go. You can choose GMK Royal Alpha. Or alternatively, you can choose EPBT Retro Cyrillic. In case of a tie, I get the tiebreaker answer and I get to pick. But those are the 4 choices for keycaps for this board today. Make a pick, guys. Drop an update into which keycaps poll. Let me know what you want to see. I might already veto GMK Olivia, so maybe don't vote for that. Is there any other UK store that does group buys, or is it only you? There's also Mech Boards. They do a few group buys as well. There's also Caps Unlocked as well, depending on what you want. You got the white as well? Nice. Nice, congratulations. Keyboards generally aren't supposed to be dawning upon a 10 kilograms type of weight. No, it's stupid heavy. It is really, really heavy. It would definitely imprint on the desk mat if I set it for long enough. Yeah, like it's just like it's really heavy. Like if I rest this on my hand, if I put this on the fleshy part of my hand, it will leave a line. That's how heavy this is. Just dropped 6 votes for Olivia. I might veto Olivia straight away because I kind of don't want to use Olivia. Like look, hey, it's left an imprint on my hand. Look, if the camera focuses, there is a line on my hand. I promise. There, look, you can see the line. It's so heavy. Really hope it's anything but Olivia. Getting tired of seeing it. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I grabbed Olivia because I knew that people would like to see it, but I kind of don't want to use it unless I have to. Right, we'll make it happen, guys. If you guys are bored of seeing Olivia, you guys need to make it happen that something else wins, right? It's all on you guys. It's all on you guys. Thank you so much to people who followed what I've missed. So thank you very much to Cup Soul, Haunted Soul as well, Wyson's Spider-Us Man, Crash, ALXBN. Thank you so much for the follows, guys. Really, really appreciate those. Olivia shouldn't be too far out. I'll check on Monday, see if I got any updates on Olivia, but it shouldn't be too far out. Shout out to the 2 people voting for Royal Alpha. Royal Alpha is one of my favourite sets of all time. It's such a good set. If you like greens, it's a great set. I think December I'm expecting it, trolling Kudi. Yeah, I think I should expect it in December at my workshop, so it's not too far out. Yeah, December is when I'm expecting to get it. I haven't typed on it yet. It's too heavy for me to use it as like a daily driver. Like it's an effort to shove it around on the desk. Well, it's not GMK, Trolling Kudi, so it wouldn't be that far out. But yeah, I'm not sure if the 20 kilogram keyboard is right for me. Like, it's so heavy. Like, that's a strain to lift it, and I'm only lifting it an inch off the desk here. It's like I can't impress how heavy. I can't lift this one hand. Like, it's a big keyboard, so and I have small hands, so I can't stretch to lift it with one hand. Like, I could probably hold the weight in one hand if it was on top, but I can't pick that up in one hand. Like, it's just too big. Like, that's heavy. It's heavy. Surprised GMK Midnight Rainbow's not an option. GMK Midnight Rainbow, I only bought one set myself from myself. I bought one set from other vendors. They haven't shipped yet. So I'll have a few sets in the future. But yeah, I only have one personal set, and that's on my J2. Put more metal on it. I don't think it was a slight dig at GMK. I need GMK to speed up. Like, I want them to speed up. Any idea on when the Isla Proto PCBs are coming? I really want to see one being built. I genuinely don't know. I messaged Heine last week about the PCBs because he's making them. He said they were in production. They shouldn't be too far out. I have like 10 or so of the of the Isla prototypes here. Just need the PCBs, man. As soon as they come, we'll be golden. Okay, so EPBT Retro Cyrillic one with 46% of the votes. So that's what we're going to be putting on the board today. Let's take these out. Do you know what? We'll zoom in a little bit as well so you guys can see. I need to automate this. Oops. Okay, I think I've got a slightly warped spacebar actually. Is that warped? Yeah. There we go, that's better. Okay. So we'll just get the stabilized keys on first. And then once the stabilized keys are on, we can start to let's put the rest of the board together. Okay. Why can I not find backspace? There must be a backspace key in here. How can there not be a backspace key? Wait, is there really no backspace key in my set? Why do I not have a backspace key? I literally don't have a backspace key, do I? I genuinely don't have one. Wait, where is it? Oh my gosh. We'll figure something out. Can we look closely? Yeah, I'll show it close up when we've got the keys on it. If you need a keyboard size paperweight, then this is it. That's a fair take. That's a fair take. It's a fingerprint magnet. Yeah, it's going to show fingerprints like mad. We'll polish it up before I do anything with it. I don't think I have the required backspace key. I just can't see it anywhere. Hopefully I'll find it. More of a showcase piece than a keyboard? Maybe, maybe. Few keys that I definitely don't need here. Pop an eyes on him here, because why not? There we go. This is always the worst part about any keyboard build, because it just takes so long. I think I don't have a backspace key, you know, guys. I think I'm missing the backspace key from this set because I just don't see it anywhere. We're going to change this 2 key over because we do have another key. It just fits a little bit nicer. I got a Raffle Chrome Serratus. Is that another keyboard? I'm not familiar with Serratus. Okay, getting slowly there. It takes forever. Do you think you could have got a mix with another set when they all got sorted? Maybe, it could have done. Like, there's definitely no 2U key here. I do have another set of this, so I can go grab the key if I need to. But we'll just have to see the build without that cap on, I'm afraid. Just one of those things. Oh, I put the wrong 3 on. I don't think I have a keycap pullable key switch book. Maybe? 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 Yeah. Whoops. And get rid of some of the numpad keys because we don't need those. Okay, so we want to go like this, and like this. There we go. Okay. I have to remind myself what the order of the keycaps is up here. Print, scroll, and pause. Okay. Print, scroll, and pause. There we go. And then we should have insert home and page up. Yeah. Where's the page up? There it is. And then underneath that we'll have the page down. Home and end. Wait, no. Delete and end. That's what I'm thinking of, is it? Yeah. Just have to make sure remember what keys go there. There's the delete key. Do we have an end key that fits? Don't tell me I've not got an end key that fits in that particular spot. Looks like I'm missing a couple of keys from this set, guys. Interesting. Looks like I am missing a couple of keys from this set. Let's see if we just put away in here by mistake. Nope, turns out we're missing that key as well. Oh no, there it is. There it is. We do have it. There we go. And then I'm just missing a 1U code key for this bottom row. Did we put that away? Did we already put that away? Looks like we did. Let's just switch these around. Let's move the code key to the other side and put that as an FN at this side. Let's do that. That'll look a little neater. There we go. Then we're going to have to ignore the backspace, pretend that doesn't exist, because I've clearly not put a key for it. Slightly frustrating, but hey. Live and learn. Those keycaps look way too old school for the board, in my opinion. That's fair. But I went with what chat voted for, so there we go. So here we go, guys. This is the Semo FE ALBC3 aluminium bronze casted board, which weighs nearly 10 kilograms. It's stupidly heavy. Well, 7 kilograms, I think we worked out. 7 kilograms, 18 pounds, including the pen rail and everything else. This is with EPBT Retro Cyrillic on there in UK ISO layout. We've got a... Oh, God, I can't lift it up. Nice little artisan on the corner there. A Les Pilot. Here's the side of the board. Here's the base of the board. As you can see, it's a fingerprint magnet, all made from the same material. Now it's time to see how this sounds. Oh, I'll dig out another backspace. I have got another set of these keycaps, so I'll dig out another backspace later on. Let's mute the music for a second and see what this sounds like. Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. It sounds really muted on the mods and really high pitched on the alphas. It sounds how it looks. Heavy. It's weird. Like, there's just no sound from the spacebar at all. Well, there is, but it's weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it needs a more poppy plate. I feel like it needs a plate that's going to really pop in sound. So I think it needs something like either a tactile build in something that's going to soak up the sound, so like a Holy Panda pop, or it needs something like a carbon fiber plate with some nice linears in there, going to really sound poppy and loud. I think that's what it's going to need. I think that the meme cuts probably make it sound a little bit different on the mods than it does to the alphas, but I don't think it sounds bad. I think it just sounds different. Like, I've never tried this material before. I think my overall view of this board is it's too heavy, and it's too heavy by far. Like, it doesn't make it pleasurable to move around or use. Like, the weight is just obscene. Like, I can barely lift it off the desk. It's that heavy. But it looks great. It does look good, especially if we polish off these fingerprints. It looks great. And you see all these nice mill marks in there. I think that looks great as well. Yeah, was it worth the money? Difficult question to answer. I'm not dissatisfied with the amount of money I spent on it, purely because it's something new and a different material, but I don't think this is going to be for everyone. Sounds decent for unlubed lavenders? Maybe. Yeah, it doesn't sound terrible. Like, I'm not particularly happy with the sound. I think it needs working on the sound. I suspect it's the aluminium plate that's not doing it any favors. Yeah, I'm thinking CF plate. I might order like 5 or 6 CF plates, and then I can have a few builds of this in the next week or so. Yeah, my view on this is that it's too heavy by far, but it's fun. Like, I think if people are going to use ALBC3 in the future, like use it as a weight material, I think that's a good shout. Use it for accent pieces, I think that's a good shout. Using it for the whole keyboard, it's probably not worth it. Like, the price to ratio for it, I think it is very much a one-off, if you can afford it kind of board. But I don't dislike it. I love it for that. I love it because of that. It's not a dishonest board. It tells you exactly what it thinks. It looks fantastic, right? Like the patterning here in like at the side, the patterning there that you can see with the mill marks, it's phenomenal. It looks great. But it's a chunk. Like, it's super heavy. Like, I can't express just how heavy this is. Like, I can't hold this at arm's length for any length of time. Like, that's a real strain. That's a real strain to hold that at arm's length. Holy crap, my arms are cramping up from that. That's really heavy. It's super heavy. A lot of flex in the corners too. Yeah, I'm noticing that. So if I'll show you what Chris means. If you watch the artisan here, you see how it bounces up and down. There's a lot of flex in the corners. It's the same in all 4 corners. ALBC3 is too hard to work with. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe for weights, maybe for accent pieces, it'll be acceptable. Anything else, it's just going to be too much, I think, guys. It's just going to be too much. But let me know what you think about it, guys. Do you think it looks good? I think it kind of works with these keycaps, right? I probably ruined it putting this on. GMK Pharaoh will look fantastic on it. Well, GMK Lux is very similar to Pharaoh, and that's just about to ship, I think. So maybe Lux will go on here. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll put just GMK Lux on here. It might not be a bad idea. Okay, guys. Well, that's it for the stream. It's now time to find someone to raid on Twitch. If you guys have got any suggestions on who we can raid, let me know. But I'm going to take a look and see if I can find anyone on Twitch who I want to raid. Let's see who's available to raid. Who is streaming in the Makers and Crafting channel right now? Didi's streaming. We could raid Didi. How would you feel about that? Should we raid Didi? Let's raid Didi Decline. I'm gonna drop him a follow. And then we're going to raid DD. Yeah, definitely let's raid DD Decline. Okay, guys. Please come with me. Let's go and say hi to DD. Let's tell him he looks fantastic. Like, his beanie hat looks amazing because he's wearing a beanie today. Yeah, and ask him about his EVA JO2. Ask him about his JO2, his special limited edition JO2. Ask him to share that and show that. That's what we should do. Because he does have one of very few EVA JO2s available. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to queue up the raid. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll be back on Tuesday night, I think, with a workshop build stream where we'll be using the laser cutter to make stuff. And I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We're going to go raid DD, tell him how much we love him, tell him we love his hat, and ask to see his EVA JO2. And I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Projects. They've got a server where they're working on some artisans and some keyboards, and I think maybe some keycap sets. I've been keeping an eye on it because it looks really cool. I like the stuff they've been showing. I'm super